Good afternoon. This is the second of what we're calling office hours with HGS Investor, and we hope to make them more interactive. So if you have questions, feel free to ask questions. Just type into the chat box and do it that way. I prefer that rather than opening up the mic because that can get confusing. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm using, somebody suggested that was at the last one that I use some sort of pointer because there's a lot of white background and my mouse is white and I move it around a lot. So we'll see how this works out. But it's right down here in this circle. Standard risk disclaimer. Any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. Okay, like I just put this in here. Feel free to ask questions. If you don't have HGSI and you should have HGSI, you can get a free 30-day trial by going to highgrowthstock.com and you'll find a link to it on the front page. Okay, I use this old slide from the workshops that Ian and I used to do, and I'm just going to do this every day or every time as a reminder. The market accounts for 40 to 45%. I think that's actually low as we're seeing in this bear market because every time the market has a hiccup, a lot of stocks go down in a hurry. So I think that, as Ian said, was a conservative estimate, and I think it's more like 60%. And then, of course, groups and stocks have a lot to do with the whether you're making or losing money. Even in a bad market, there are generally some groups and some stocks going up, but you've got a lot of headwinds at that point to deal with. Now, I just want to take a quick look at this. This is from the chart I sent out this morning. I'm sending this out every day via the bulletin board, or George sends it out also, and I also send it out on Twitter and put it on the Facebook page. And the reason I do this is I started doing it, well, I've done it for a long time for myself, and I just thought I would share it with everybody because it gives us a lot of information about the state of the market, and it helps me determine how much money I want to risk or if I want to risk anything. And this is what I had this morning, my comment. I'm sure most of you have seen this, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But this spinning top yesterday is uncertainty in the market. That's what it represents, at least to me. And my comment yesterday was this was a distribution day, the one in the center right there, and then this is followed by a spinning top right at what is considered, or I consider, the critical support area right here, because if it breaks down through this hard, it did on this day, it came down here. That was not hard. It was hard here, and then buyers stepped up, snapped it up, and we had a one-day rally and then a reversal on Friday. And then it worked its way back up, but there's really no conviction to the upside as I see it. And remember, these are just my comments and my commentary. I want to take a look quickly at what's happening today. Here's that spinning top you can see, and then we have another what I would consider to be a distribution day because the comp opened here, traded all the way up here, looked like it might be a strong day, and here's where it currently resides right here, just off the low, and this is that critical support line that I'm talking about. This is a retracement from the rally that we had, and it's come all the way back down here. And if it doesn't hold here, I'm afraid that we're in big trouble. Yeah, can't you see my screen? Somebody says, are you sharing something? Can you see my screen, all of you? Oh, thank you, Duke. Well, I'm projecting it. Thanks, everybody. Okay, anyway, this is Thinkorswim, as you can see. I have these the internals over here, and you can see right now that advancers minus decliners, 1131 on the NYSE. If I go down to the comp, there's 665 more decliners than advancers. And it's just turned into another bad day. That's all there is to it. Okay, let me move on to what I want to talk about today. I want to talk primarily about the group inclusion report. If you've been with HGSI, you've heard of the GIR, or the group inclusion report. You'll find it here under the top 50. But in addition to this, what I do is I generate it myself every day, and I'll show you why. Now, this is a concept that I came up with, probably 15 years ago, maybe more, when Ian and I were together. And, it's something we worked on, and I thought, why not use our smart groups that are in the program. These are all the smart groups by different people, and I just decided to give it a try, and it's worked out over the years to give us some decent candidates. And the way it works is these are user smart groups, or not user smart groups. User smart groups are down here. These are smart groups that are built in to HGSI, and they look at different areas of the market. And for example, there are growth stocks in here. Something I put in a long time ago called the HGS 100, which this was a takeoff on IBDs. Used to be 100. I think they have a 50 now. But there's a smart group here, high profit margins and so on. I don't need to read all these off. But what I did when I created this, I just went in and selected. I'm going to click on load selection over here, and this opens up a window, and I've got a couple of group inclusion reports in here. And let me open this one up, click on it. And what it does is it pre-selects all of these groups that I'm using, and I'll scroll up here to the top. First of all, it includes all of the industry groups in HGSI, and the only reason for that is on the group inclusion report, when it's generated, it shows us which stocks are in these groups if they're in the top 50. Now, these are the ones that I've picked out. I don't need to read all of them. You can load this yourself, but there's some by Steckler, David Ghilardi, Gil Morales, Ian and myself. You can see I've got mostly Woodward and Brown groups in here. Anything with a blue check on it is in use, and Jeffrey Scott, there's a couple here on the long side. I'm going to clear this, and then I'm going to click load selection. And the reason I do it myself is because I also do a GIR for the short side, group inclusion report for the short side, and these are some of the groups. Steckler, a couple of bearish scans, nothing for Ghilardi, his are only bullish. Gil Morales, a code red, moving down, potential short sale stocks, and so on. So I can run these group inclusion reports on either side, both long and short. Okay, let me clear this. And I'm going to go back to the long side. And you can see that they're all selected. When I do that, it pulls this up every day automatically. I know I'm getting the same groups. And then I go into a folder. I've got a history of these in here. I'm in the October folder right now. And I've already done the one today, but I'm going to regenerate it. So I date these, and then I just put the number 50 in here. If I wanted to save the HTML to a file, I could do that. I can also apply a filter if I want to screen with a filter, and I'll come back and do that. And then there's also the option of the maximum number of groups a security must be in. So if you're looking for a list of stocks that have a high number of smart groups that they have to be in, you can put whatever number in here you want, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to make a group from the report. So all of these smart groups that I'm using, the ones that meet the criteria, or the stocks meet the criteria, within those groups will be pulled up and put into this group of 50 stocks. I don't know. I assume some of you do this or every day, but maybe you're just using the top 50 over here. I'll go ahead and generate the group. I usually don't. But you can see what comes up here, and EOG resources, which is in the exploration and production group, it appears in all of these smart groups for yesterday. So Gallardi Sprinters, which is a momentum group, Gills, Code Blue, Pocket Pivots. This is a combo-driven group, Pocket Pivots, and so on. Several of Gills. WB, Woodward and Brand Consistent Earnings Growth, or box stocks. This is a growth stock also. ERG 240, which means it's a strong earnings per share, relative strength, and group rank. Growth stocks, high profit margin, leaders. So you can see that this is in a lot of groups. So let's bring up EOG. And I'll just do a symbol sort here. Bring up EOG. And I'm using a chart that I created for my undercut and rally scans. And you can see that EOG, let's bring this to the front. And I'll just enlarge this a little bit. And you can see, looking up here, starting with the fundamentals, that this is a growth stock. It's a leading stock. You can tell that by the chart. The ERG is above 240. You can see that right here, 85.97, 89 with an ERG of 271. So it meets all of the criteria, and it's at the top of the list because it appeared in 15 groups. This one appeared in 14 groups. This one appeared in 14 groups, and so on down the list. And as I scroll down this, you can see where the strength was in the market yesterday. It was in the oils. So I'm just scrolling down the list, and look at all of these that are refining and marketing. So I can see that, or I can quickly just go into my warehouse view. And I know I have a lot of views, but I use most of them. So anyway, under my daily prospecting scans, this is intraday to day, and I can quickly see which of these stocks are following through today. I'll just sort on the combo rank, and this brings the stocks with the highest percentage price change to the top of the list. Now, I actually like to sort on percent intraday range because it tells me which stocks are holding up and which ones are not. For example, if this one right here, Antero Resources, is only at 9.76% of its daily range, it's down $4.36. It was, or it is, in the exploration and production group, but it is not holding up nearly as well as Continental Resources, which is trading at 86.54% of its range. So you get a tremendous amount of information just by looking at this warehouse view. So the point of doing this group inclusion report is just to quickly find out where the strength or weakness was in the market on the prior day based upon smart groups. Smart groups that are contained within HGSI, and they've been there for I don't know, 15, 20 years, long time. And they still do the job of bringing these stocks to the top of the list. Now, yeah, I can see that this one here is this one not trading anymore? What's the date on this? No, this one isn't trading anymore. If you look down here, it says 1013. It still managed to come up in that list, but we'll just disregard that. I'm going to click through to the designer, and I'm going to see if I can delete it by hitting my delete key, and I did. So it works that quickly. Now, here is the index of these stocks as of yesterday. And you can see that the 49 that are left were showing a pretty strong move to the upside as a group. So the blue circle is distracting. Does anybody else think it's distracting? Listen, Marvin, I've had requests on both sides, so I'm going to leave it up there. I'll just try not to move it so much. How's that? All right, I can't please everybody, so I'm going to please myself. How's that? Anyway, no offense, Marvin. It's just I think most people like it. And that's the point of it, because if I don't have this in here, I've got this white mouse pointer, and there's it just doesn't show up very well. All right, we're going to leave it. So anyway, let's get back to this. I lost my train of thought a little bit, but I can use these daily ranges, and I know that the intraday range, I know that some of these stocks are holding up much better. So let's look at this one right here, Pump. We're 45 minutes away from the close, and I can tell that Pump is still very strong. I didn't have to come look at the chart. I could just look at the intraday range. It's at 99.01% in a market that is falling off. Now this double blue line here is where the 3 went above the 6. I'm using this as these are what I call my expansion contraction views. This is a micro trend. When the 3 goes above the 6, you can see that it happened here. And then there was a pullback, and it crossed over again, and that was another buy point. Now you can screen for these crossovers. I have filters for all of this stuff. They're the undercut and rally filters. You can screen for stocks that are under accumulation, either based upon a candle or a VPA flag, and you can see there were 2 days here of accumulation on this stock, and then the crossover. Here, there wasn't an accumulation day. There was a pocket pivot day, though. And I don't know why that one didn't show up. Oh, I know why it didn't show up, because at that point, the 3 was above the 6. I don't want to confuse you, but anyway, that's what this chart is all about, in case you don't know. Okay, now let's do something else. I don't know if you know about this, but I'm going to show you how to do this. In the warehouse view, I click over here. And let me close that. Under File. And then I'm going to save the list as, and I'm just going to overwrite this one. It remembers the name of the smart group, and I'm going to save that. And you'll see where I'm going with this when I get there. I'll just move this out of the way. And I'll go into, well, let me get back into the warehouse. I need to get the filters here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a filter, and I'll type SYMBOL, and I have a list down here, symbol list of the top 50 group inclusion report. I'm going to edit this, and you can see that it's populated now. I'm going to clear the filter so there are no symbols in here, and then I'm going to load that list that I created. I created that list, remember, from the warehouse by going to the File and Save List As. I'll click on that. I'll open this, and it couldn't bring the index in, but it did bring the 49 symbols in. Yeah, Paul, you can screen for specific VPA flags, and I'll get into that a little bit later if we have time. We should have time. Okay, so what I have here are 49 stocks that appeared in today's group inclusion report. And what I'm going to do is go into my designer and symbol list. I'm going to run this again, but I'm going to clear this. I want to get, well, I can leave these in, but I'll just clear it. And what I'm going to do is let me close some of these up so it's not so confusing. I want to close my industries too. I'm going down to my user groups, and this is my non-indexed file. I call them non-indexed because I remove the indexes on all these automatically. Not automatically, I have to do it manually, but when you receive the add-on download, they're gone, because if I left all the indexes in there, it would take forever to update your program. So what I'm doing here is I'm looking for my top 50. This is my history. So using this filter, you can see that I'm using the symbols list top 50 group, and I have to activate that. And I'm going to click on October, and what this does is it selects all these subgroups automatically, and I'm going to click on OK. And what this is going to do is generate a group and inclusion report and pull out all of the stocks that are contained in the October groups. And I can see if these stocks have appeared prior to today. Here's today. Okay, I redid this, so I have two 2019s because I regenerated the index group. And I can see that this appeared on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th, and so on. So it's been appearing in the top 50 for 13 days out of, I don't know how many trading days have we done this month. Not many more than that. Devon Energy has appeared 11 times. Diamondback or Fang has appeared 11 times, and so on. So I can see that these have been appearing in these groups more than once. Now we can take this further. Let me get back to my designer here. Okay, I'm going to go back up, and I'm clicking on this again. And this time I'm going to add September. And now this, you can see there's September 2nd is where this starts. So I can see that Continental Resources has appeared 17 times in the group inclusion report. ConocoPhillips, Fang, what's the primary theme here? Oil stocks, primarily, energy stocks. As I go down the list, these are mostly exploration and production stocks that have appeared multiple times in this list based upon the smart groups that are contained in the program. Let's take it one more step, and then I'll quit doing this. I'm going to go to another month. Going to go to August. You can see that all of these are selected. Click on that. And ConocoPhillips has appeared 30 times. Now let's Let's go back to 805. Let's bring ConocoPhillips up and just see what it looked like on 805. Okay, so here would be, let me bring up this window here. Okay, here's 8.5. Now, they don't always work out this well. I'm telling you, just from looking at a lot of charts. But on this day, when this was appearing here, is this correct? 8:05 on a Friday. If I'm here, that's where it appeared in the group inclusion report, based upon all of that criteria. So this is a low volume VPA test, and what happened, that was an accumulation day. The 3 was below the 6, and then there was a crossover the next day. This is a 2-day window on this dark green bar, and this stock just took off. Now, like I said, the signals are not always this good, but that one just happened to be. And I'm just doing this on the fly. I didn't do this earlier. So on the 9th, 11th, and 12th, let's look at those days. So here is, okay, here's the 9th. Here is the 10th. Here's the 11th. Here's the 12th. This was appearing in the group inclusion report every day, and then on the 17th it appeared again, which was right here before it had this nice run up to the top. And then it appeared many other times throughout August, September, and October. So just looking at this example, you can tell that this trade would have been a very good trade, and it appeared in the top 50 group inclusion report. Any questions about that? Anything I've gone over so far? Well, that's good. Everything must be perfectly clear then, right? So let's see if I can find a stock that's not an energy stock that had. Boy, these are all energy stocks, aren't they? Over a 3-month period. Here's Harmonic, HLIT. Let's see what this looks like on the first date. HLIT, I must have mistyped that. There it is. Wow. This has been a nice, strong stock. I've looked at it several times because the market's been so terrible I haven't done anything. So 831, let's go to 831. That's 81. Here's what happened here. $8.31 was right there. It had an accumulation bar. It didn't take off right away though. It just kind of went sideways and went down a little bit. And let's see when it appeared again. Not till 9:15. Right there on the crossover, the 3 crossing over the 6. So that was a good signal there. It went up, it pulled back. It didn't take out the low of this day though, but there were 5 black candles in a row, and then what we had another accumulation day here, and then a crossover right there. So these 2 examples have been good, and you can see there were multiple instances where you could get in. Now notice that I just grabbed all of the GIRs, and there just happens to be a short day on here, and that's 9/26. It only lasted 1 day though. Let's just go out of curiosity and look at 9/26 and why that appeared. Okay. I don't have a good reason for it. 9/26 right here. Unless it was just because the 3 went down below the 6 the prior day. This is 9/25 here though. 9/23. what did I say, 926? I'm talking to myself. 926. I don't know why that short signal came up unless it was for this VPA flag right there, which means that transfer of ownership, which means they were selling into it, but normally it takes more than that to generate a short signal. Okay, so I think you get the idea that these appear multiple times. If they're consistently good stocks, they're going to have consistently good signals in the group inclusion report, and that's why I think it's a valuable way to prospect. Now, another thing you can do is you don't have to just stick with these groups. You can make your own groups, or you can scan on these and use other filters. Now let's just go ahead and do that. So I'm going to clear everything out of here. Okay, I didn't want to do that. And let's run something. Okay. First of all, before I open this, I didn't do this. I have to select a filter. So I just went up here and selected a filter. And now, let's see what I have in here. Okay, Paul, under here, GIR filters. GIR bullish filter, VPA or candles. This is a filter that I put together for the undercut and rally scans, which I use right here to scan for these. But I'm going to show you how complicated this filter is. If any of these VPA flags contain these conditions, these are VPA conditions, or a white body, or any of these bullish candles. Notice these are all or statements. So if any of those things occur, and then these are the and statements, has to have a last close of just $1, which is too low for most people, 100,000 shares, and trade in a range of 60% of the daily range on the close. Let's use this filter. And okay, now I'm going to just use, no, I don't want to use today's. Let me clear this. Let's load this selection. Let's go back to the main user group, or set of user groups, and now I'm going to do the same scan, and if any of these things that I just showed you in the filter happen to occur, then it's going to go on the list, and we'll make a group from this list, and I'll say VPA or candles. And 50 may be a big number for this. Let's just use 25 on this, okay? And then I'll click OK. And these are the stocks that come up. So they have all of, or they're using the same not user groups, I keep saying user groups, smart groups that are contained within the software, but they also have to have, let me get my intraday view here. They also have to have either a bullish candle or a VPA signal. Now, if you look over here at these VPA signals, but there's not a VPA signal unless there's a 0 on that day. This is the days since the last VPA signal on this particular view. So all of these had a VPA flag today, and there's an upthrust bar in there, transfer of ownership, but there's probably another bullish. Well, let's just look at it rather than. Okay, there was a white candle. This is a negative VPA flag, an upthrust bar, but there was a bullish white candle. That's why it appeared through this screen. This is that harmonic again. Now let's go through a few of these. These are all efforts to rise. You can see there's the effort to rise right here on APA Corp. Same thing on this one. Effort to rise yesterday, gap up, and you can see they sold into strength. There was a pocket pivot today because of the gap up. This is a volume pocket pivot. It's not a true pocket pivot. I put these in the software just to show me when there is heavier than normal volume when it's compared to the prior 5 or 10 days. And then you'll get these blue lines in here, and you can see right here there was volume coming in on this, above average volume compared to the prior days. That's when you'll see these blue bars. When they're magenta, it just means the opposite, down days. So anyway, all of these down here, if there's not a 0 here, and since I scanned on either VPA or candles, that means that there has to be a bullish candle. Now, look at this. This happened 5 days ago on PR. Let's use them. Let's see. Let's try Occidental Petroleum. 5 days ago was the effort to rise signal. This is a box 7 stock, so it has to have a white candle yesterday. And you can see that it had the white candle yesterday. Once again, selling into strength today. So that's how you can scan on that. But you can scan with any filter. You don't have to use a VPA filter. You could use a fundamental filter and run a scan. Any questions about that? Did you see how that worked? I assume you did because you didn't say anything. But it's really powerful. And the reason it is powerful, let me go to this, because we know that these stocks are in all of these I said user again, all of these smart groups. In addition, they have a bullish VPA flag, or they have a bullish candle, one of the two. So rather than looking at stocks that don't have either one of those, we know that this list has, for example, consistent earnings growth. This is a box stock, EOG, plus we're getting a signal. So let me look at EOG, see what it was. If I go over here, it had an effort to rise, and it's a box 1 stock. I think I looked at this already. Maybe I didn't. So there's your effort to rise, and the 3 crossing the 6, sold into it today, but it meets all the criteria. Okay, any more questions on that? Okay, let's do this. Going to clear everything. I'm going to load the short side. And I'm going to make a group. I'm not going to use a filter. go back to 50. Okay, I'm not going to generate that. I want to point something out. Let me go back to that prior list first here. As we look at the warehouse, this is a bullish side that I did earlier. Look at the relative strength rank down here on these stocks. Mostly 97s, 98s, and so on. Now that group that I just created, the short side, well, did I generate that? Oh, I have to take my filter off. Sorry about that. Look at the relative strength on these stocks. The highest one is 62. Now let's go back to this list, and you can see that on the HTML, bearish, potential short sale, moving to the downside, Jeffrey's mobile breakdown, code red. You can see that these are all negative. Now I don't have as many we don't have as many smart groups on the negative side, so this list is not going to be as heavily populated with groups. And let's just take a look at this. Some of them are going to be up, but a lot of them are going to be down. Now here's one that's up 5.84% today, but if you bring the chart up, you can see that you probably would not be taking this trade because everything's down. The fan's down, the 3 is below the 6, and it's just in a downtrend. You know, they're bottom fishing. It's a $2.44 stock. So, yes, you're going to find stocks that are up for the day, but you're also going to find stocks that were down. Now, let's just take a look at some of these. Well, I'm going to pick out a name that I know. Let's take a look at Plug. Anybody playing Plug lately? It was a good stock not that long ago. Okay, now let's bring Plug up. Let's find Plug. I'm going to do Control F, which brings up this little window here. You can type in Plug, and it takes me directly to the HTML. Potential short sale stocks and groups moving to the downside, and a Mobo breakdown. Okay, so all of those things happened today. Now let's go ahead. Let me repeat that process for you again in case you want to create those filters or the filter. So I'm going to save the list as. It automatically brings the name over. I'm going to save it to my download folder. And then I'm going to go into the filters. I'll type in SYM. Here's the top 50 shorts. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to clear the filter. I'm going to load the list. And I'm going to load the short list. And there were 50. Okay, the index couldn't be found. So there were 50 in here, or are 50 in here. And these, it's in this filter now. Let me go back in and load the long side here. Another thing you can do is you can, and I haven't really done this yet, this is just something I was thinking about today. If you don't like the groups that I have, or if you want to add to them, and I wouldn't change it because over time, as you can see in the first part of this presentation, it works really quite well to find long side stocks. and I wouldn't change them, but you can make your own groups, or you can add user smart groups to the scan that I already have. So let's say you want some these are, I think I have, okay, stocks that are dividend producers with a minimum of 2% yield. I'm doing this on the fly, so maybe nothing will come up, but I just want to see. And I'm not going to make a group of it. I'm just going to run the HTML. Okay, it worked. Dividend producers, stocks, minimum 2% yield. This one also. This one also. Now let's go verify this. And 7.1% dividend yield. Look how the dividend, I assume this is correct because look at this dividend growth on EOG. Wow. The yield today, what did I say, 7.1%. If you come from the primary fundamental screen here and you just click up one, this is where the dividends are. Let's check out the next one here. PBR. Could that be right? 24.6%. Let's do this. Alternate news. Look at this. 24.22% according to bar chart. That's where this information comes from. That's amazing. I had no idea. So you just click on the alternate N, by the way, if you want to bring the news up on a stock. Now I got rid of my, I think I closed that. I didn't mean to close my HTML. Let's just run it again. So if you want to see all of the stocks that are doing a 2% dividend yield, just do a Control F and Control copy, put it up here, Control V, see if I did that right. No, I didn't. I need to clear this and do that again. Control F, Control V. There we go. So if you look over here at this bar on the left, all these yellow spots or markings on the bar means that these stocks are dividend producers. So if you click in over here anywhere on this, it'll take you to the stocks that are dividend producers. So if I wanted to use this scan in the future, let's go back over here, and it's I've added this and I'm using my original smart groups. I'm going to save this selection and I'm going to whoops, I got that in the wrong spot. Save it. And then when I come in here, here it is right here on top. I should have made that a 3. Okay, that's all there is to it. But you can add any user smart group, or you can make up a GIR, group inclusion report, strictly of user smart groups. And I haven't really done any of that, but that's something that I'm going to be working on. Now, I don't really have anything else to show you today. I don't know what I did wrong on that short side HTML, but that's the way it goes. Not that big a deal. I'll figure it out and show you next time. Any questions? What do you think of this process for locating stocks? Okay, here's what Duke says. Let me bring this on the screen. Duke's been a long, long time a user. The GIR has been the single best tool created in HGSI for me. I can create a multitude of filters on factors or fundamental screens like Joel Greenblatt or Patrosky value and technical screens and run them to find stocks that I can meet a range of criteria faster than I can find them in my Bloomberg terminal. For those of us who manage pooled assets and must stay in the market due to mandates, it's a lifesaver. That is very good information, Duke, and I thank you. And George thanks you.
Amen.
George is on here. Okay. Well, Duke's been managing money for years, and HGSI is one of his primary tools, and Duke's like I am. This is one tool that I really couldn't live without. The rest of them are all, in my opinion, interchangeable. Not always. I mean, that's a generalization. But, yeah. Just a second, George.
It will show up on the video, but could you capture Duke's comment for me?
Yeah, it's on the video.
Okay.
Let me. It will be in my 38 years. Wow. I still see you as a young man. Maybe you are. But I guess I've known you a long time. Anyway, George, you're not going to be captured your audio on this. I don't have that on. But anyway, I will capture that testimonial for you and send it to you. And I'm sure Duke wouldn't mind at all if you used it. And, we need to do more of that, what he's talking about. But you can do anything you want with these filters. I don't know Duke's criteria and so on, but it works for him. And it's very flexible. Okay, anything else? I'll get this off the screen. But I'll make sure that I send that to you, George.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to sign off. I have to go run an errand, and if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to call it a day. Any questions before I go?